And the Labour Party had produced the naive evidence, they produced good working class people within the Labour Party, and they had a good manifesto. And the manifesto wasn't just belonging to the Labour Party. The manifesto came from the Communist Party, the manifesto came from the Trotskyist Party, it came from the anarchists, it came from everybody. Everybody wanted change, and the miners was the driving force behind it. And when Churchill called an election just after what he thought he'd win by a landslide, but he didn't know the work that the miners and the working class people had put in. And there's a real relevance today for young people for what happened then, because we listened for the results as it was coming down. I was standing at pit bottom waiting to go up. They were sending coal. Coal was more important than men and body. And we said, how was the election going? Oh, Labour won this seat. And all of a sudden they said Labour have got a landslide majority. And I looked around me and I saw 3 or 4 of the most hardened miners that you can imagine, who've lived through everything. And tears was coming down their eyes. And I said, what are you crying for? They said, Ray, don't you understand? We're taking control of our own lives for the first time in our history. We're going to change the world. Your mother died for the want of an hospital bed. Other mothers have died for the want of a bed. People, the life expectancy is very, very low. Child mortality is low. We're going to change it, Ray. We're going to build an health service. We're going to take control of the commanding heights of the economy. And they forced the Labour Party to implement that. And the changes that took place, not only throughout Britain, because Britain at that particular time, the working class of Britain was a beacon of light to the rest of the world. They brought all those changes in. And the Tories kept saying, what about the money we owe to America? They said, bugger America. To hell with America. We'll put this country back on its feet. And all the social services, all the hospital services, all the benefits was hard fought for, won by ordinary people. And it all emanated from the miners and from other working class people. And I tell you this, do you think it's difficult to throw a government out? Do you think it's difficult for working people to go out on strike and bring a government down? Well, the miners did it. They did it in '72. They went out on strike because the miners was having a pittance. And death was still very, very close to many people in those days. And they went out on strike for pay. And they went on strike, and we went all over the country. We blockaded everything. We brought the country to a standstill. And Ted Heath went to the country. And he said, who's going to control the country? Is it the miners or the politicians? And the people kicked out Ted Heath from there. So you always try to remember the relevance of that particular strike, because a strike can bring the government down. You don't have, when elections take place, it takes place every 4 years, perhaps every 5 years, whatever it is. But throughout the years, ever since Cameron got into power, that we've been building up and building up to the election that's coming up. And that's when they'll have to face it, because it's people, not politicians, who bring in the policies that our people wanted to take control of our own life. So it is very, very, very relevant. And tonight is very, very important. It's important for me because, as I've said before, if you read my book, if you read Deb's book, if you read it there, you will see what life was like, how hard it was. And when I was a boy of 14, I organised my first strike underground. And I organised it because Bevan boys came in. I started work with my grandfather's bloody trousers. He was 6 foot, I was about 4 feet, I think. And they cut the bottoms down until the crutch was blocking my legs. I had a soft hat on. I had my uncle's shoes handed down to me. And that's what I went to work. And they brought the Bevan boys in, 18 years of age. Every 10th conscript during the war was to go down because they wanted the coal. And they give them hats, tin hats. They give them overalls, they give them gloves. And here was us, under 14 years of age, going in with nothing, absolutely nothing. And when I saw these boys come in, and I went up to the manager, I said, why can't we have 3 months training? Why can't we have all these things? He said, if you don't work from here, I'll take your ass for you. He said, now get back to work. And when I brought it up at the lodge said, oh, we've got a strike coming off about other things, Ray. We can't talk about you and your boys. And so I went to the communists. I said, what can we do? Because at that point in time, I joined the Young Communist League. And they said, we'll call it an unofficial strike. I said, how do you do that? He said, we'll go to the lamp room. And when the boys are coming in, tell me we're on strike. I said, but they won't listen to me. I said, I'm only 14 and a half. Tell them that's what, and tell them it mustn't be a scam. And so then I stood outside the lamp room, and the first one or two come in, I said, we're on strike up the rostrum. I said, up to the miners' canteen, we're having a meeting. And some of the 17-year-olds come in and said, what the bloody hell are you, Ray Davies, to talk about a strike? He said, we're going into work. I said, you're going to work? I said, you'll be a bloody scab and you'll be ostracised for the rest of your life. All right. We had a strike. And that strike took place for about a week. And it fell apart because in the end my father and all the fathers found out about it, and the manager put a bit of pressure on him. So the strike went, but we won the day because we went to the politicians, the union went to the politicians, the Miners' Federation went to the politicians and said, our boys are going to have the same concessions. And I thought, that's brilliant, I'm going to have all these wonderful things, so we're going to have 3 months training. But when I went to the manager and I said, we won now, I said, could I have my... No, he said, you haven't bloody won. He said, the boys coming behind, well, he said, but you... So I never did get my flipping hat and overalls and my gloves. But we won a victory. And for me, that was the most important thing in my life. Because I learned from them, with the fire that was in my belly, that the only way we're going to change this bloody awful world of ours, if we go out in the streets, if we campaign, if we go on strike, if we demand the sort of things that the miners demanded at the end of the Second World War. So thank you for organising this evening. I won't delay it any longer to say a very, very warm thank you. And please remember, 1972, when we changed the government, we brought the government down. And if ever a government is worth bringing bloody down, it's this show that we've got up at Westminster at the present moment. Thank you, everybody.
Yay!